Hey everyone, welcome back to Ancient Aliens in Modern Times. We're your hosts, Stephanie Yelovich and
Melanie Wild, and let's get into it.
yeah. So, my dear, welcome back.
Yeah, we
um,
took a bit of a pause in our recording there.
yeah, I had to go sing an opera, so that was really fun and it went really great. And now instead of screaming in Italian, I'm going to talk in English with my bud here.
Uh,
um,
you're truly just like an inspiration of like just like the balance of like beautiful femininity in your form, and then like watching those clips back of you singing is just like absolute fucking dominant power. Like
oh,
so incredibly beautiful.
thank
Um
you.
So yeah, all you listeners, if you want to hear some incredibly impressive opera singing, you got to go look at Steph's side hustle.
Thank you, my friend. Yeah, it's special music that I get to sing, that's for sure. And I got to live in ancient Egypt for this opera, so like we were talking about earlier, it was like I was in my element. It was awesome.
Absolutely.
It was magical.
Like
Um,
couldn't have been more perfect.
right, a magical place of healing, and that's what we're here to talk about. Some more.
Yes.
So we're
Yeah.
continuing our discussion about Reiki. And, after we had our last recording where we kind of got into the ins and outs of both of mine and Melanie's training as Reiki masters and practitioners, we were talking about protection specifically. And, I had some things to share, but after we finished and, Mel and I kind of started to open up that topic a little bit more, we felt like we needed to talk about it with other people able to listen because I really liked what Mel was saying about her experiences with kind of lower energies and when she's had to call in protection. And I would love, if you don't mind, would you mind sharing a little bit more about, your experience and like what is that like when something enters into the space that is absolutely not of the light?
Yeah, I think this is such an important conversation
Mm.
for anyone that like works with energy, or really anyone that not works, but engages
Mm.
with the unseen realms.
Yeah.
So, whether that's just like you're a religious person in prayer, like you're just by the act of prayer, you're engaging with the unseen realms,
Mm.
right?
Correct.
Whether you're an energy worker, like a Reiki practitioner, and you're working in the unseen realms by channeling Reiki, or you're a medium, or you're going on an astral projection, or you're doing a shamanic journey, or like
Mm.
anything that's like you're moving into a world that we typically do not physically engage with
Mm. Yes.
in this form. So protection comes up a lot, and in my Reiki classes, and I just started teaching level 1 again,
Hmm.
and this question after class 1 has already come up. So I think it's a really important conversation, and I have talked about this on like previous podcast episodes when I was doing it on my own. So if you've been here a long time, you've probably heard this before, but so let's just say the question is, how do you protect yourself, right?
Yes.
And fortunately for you, Steph, like you have experienced dark energies, but like nothing that was so forceful that you couldn't verbally speak it away. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
which I think is great, and like hopefully that is, the extent of your experience with
Yeah.
those dark
Me too.
energies,
I hope
because
so too.
and I think that a lot of people, like, that's as deep and as dark as it gets. And
Sure.
I think that's a testament to also um like the light that you emanate, because we
Thank
did
you.
talk about this, and how powerful just the Reiki energy in itself is as
Sure.
protection,
Yes.
is that darkness attracts darkness, light attracts light,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have like just this beam of light constantly surrounded in your life, in your relationships, and like everything that you are, then this darkness doesn't really feel a call to come to you
Mm-hmm.
because there's nothing that it can get from you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, unfortunately for me, and some of our listeners probably, is that you have been in like extremely dark places in your life where there was no, you were void of light, okay? And that attracted something that could manipulate you and search for light through you by bringing darkness upon you. And so for me, like I have had some like absolutely fucking horrifying, terrifying experiences with the darkness. I'll say, and my whole life, like when I was a child, I had like I would get these like overwhelming voices like and feelings come into me where it would be like get out, like super like
Oh
deep
God.
rumbling
Scary.
experiences where I'd walk into a room and there was just there I could just sense that there was something in there that did not want me
Mm.
in there.
Mm.
And so when I was 11, my family moved from Vancouver to Calgary, and we were looking at the house. I was walking through the house that my parents bought. And I have an older sister. She's 2 years older than me, and it was just the two of us growing up. And, I'm the younger sister, so I get the smaller bedroom by default.
Thanks,
So
older
we
sis.
walked into what was going to be my bedroom, and I had this like this thing that was in there, and it fucking yelled at me like get out. And I was like, cool, this is great. And at the time I thought I was like just crazy, and
Mm.
I was 11, right? And like I didn't know what was going on and like why I was feeling this. So I kept a lot of this to myself. And I never really like I never told my mom what was going on. I never told anyone what was going on. But this thing in that room haunted me while
Wow.
I lived in that room for years. I would wake up and it would be on my chest and I'd be choking because it was pushing down on my lungs so I couldn't breathe. I would wake up and my eyes would be closed and I could feel breath on the side of my face. And then I would turn my face to look at like this hot air coming on my face, and I would open my eyes and this like white face, kind of like Voldemort.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like kind of like a vibe like that. And like at that
Mm-hmm.
time, Harry Potter wasn't, the movies weren't out, just the books were
Sure,
out.
sure.
Um, and so I didn't know what that looked like, but it was kind of a similar vibe to that, like this
Mm-hmm.
like ghostly white, creepy, hairless face staring
Ooh.
at me. Um, and so yeah, I was fucking terrified. And then when my sister moved out when she was 18, she went to Bible school in Europe.
Mm.
I immediately, like the second she was out of that bedroom, I moved into her room because I was like, I cannot be in this room anymore
Mm-hmm.
because of this thing. This is this thing's room. Anyway, so that was like, one of the things. There was many other things from my teenage years that happened with these darker things. And like I was also suicidal. I was like cutting my
Mm.
wrists. Yeah, I had multiple suicide attempts. Like I was not a stable young
You were
person.
in a
Like I
very
was
low place.
very low place.
Yeah.
And then fast forward a few years, I am now like in my early 20s, and this would be like the most terrifying
Oof.
experience that I've had. I had just met my now wife. We're celebrating our 12-year anniversary, anniversary. This
Congratulations.
you. But so we were just newly dating, and we were a couple months in, and we met in Edmonton, and then we moved to Calgary, and then we were back in Edmonton visiting her friends. Okay. And so we were staying at her friend's house, and her friend's house was on an old army base. And
Oh no.
I walked into that little house, and like just this thing yelling at me, "Get out," in this like deep rumbling voice coming through. that of course only I can hear, but I couldn't see anything. I could just hear this like visceral, like get guttural, get out. And I'm like, cool, 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 cool. I'm sleeping here tonight. And I am newly dating this person, and me
Oh
and her
dear.
friends don't want them to think I'm crazy and that their house is haunted by a demon.
You know, when you have things like this happen and a lady stays with you, you keep her. She's a keeper.
She's a keeper. So luckily this is in like spring summertime, so we are outside playing like bocce ball. We were outside in the backyard like in the sun all day.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime and we're drinking. Okay, so there's alcohol involved.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime I had to pee, their bathroom was at the back door, like right there. So I would just like run in, pee. I wouldn't even wash my hands. I would just like be in and
Yep.
out of that house as fast as I could. Um, and then came nighttime and it came bedtime. And I'm like, now I'm at this point, I'm like, have been drinking all day. And everyone is now going down into the basement to continue their little party. And I'm like, I think I'm just going to go to bed because this was always my defense mechanism when I
Yeah.
was a kid, was like, if I just go to bed, I can sleep it away,
Mm,
right?
sure.
I'll
Yeah.
just go to sleep and it'll all be over. I'll
Yep.
wake up in the morning and everything will be fine. So I was sleeping on the pull-out couch in the main living room, and I go to bed, and I don't know at what point Joni comes to bed, and then I'm in this dream, but the dream is the exact same as real life. So in what I'm perceiving as a dream, I'm on the pull-out couch in the bed, and I sit up, and there's this demon in the corner opposite from the corner that the TV was in, and it's huge. It's like this big, dark, smoky black being that's as tall as the ceiling. Like it's like reached the ceiling, and it has like talon, like giant like talon feet, and its arms, it has two arms, and they're like long and smoky, so it doesn't have hands. The ends of the arms are just smoke. And then it has like this big head with horns on it, like big, huge, like spiraled
Wow.
horns.
It almost
And
makes me think of the Balrog in Lord of the Rings. That big horned thing, and it's literally got smoke coming off
oh,
of it.
yeah, I can't recall because I haven't seen those movies in a
If
very
you've
long
seen Lord of the
time, but
Rings, guys, that's what she's describing. It's a little
um
bigger in Lord of the Rings. Sorry, keep going.
it's yeah, it was terrifying. And I sat up, and then so I did what you described to
Mm-hmm.
do in the
Yep.
last episode, is that I said to it, and which I've always said to these
Yep.
beings that have come to me, was go away. I cannot help you. You need to leave now.
Mm-hmm.
And so as I'm saying that to this thing, it steps closer to me, and then I'm like, now I'm getting scared.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it steps closer to me, so I just keep yelling the same thing over again. Go away. I cannot help you. You need to leave. And it did not give a shit that I
Mm-hmm.
was saying this. It
Mm-hmm.
just kept coming closer, and then all of a sudden my arms involuntarily rise up in front of me. Like, and then it's like black arms with no hands. The smoke starts rising up my arms. And as the smoke is coming up my arms, I am still screaming, but no more sound is coming out.
Wow.
So I'm yelling, and it's like I'm paralyzed and I can't yell anymore. And it's like my arms are turning into darkness. And then the next thing I know is Joni is fucking baby shaking me while I'm sitting up in the bed. And she's like, Mel, wake up. What are you saying? And then so she describes this incident as she's in bed, and then I all of a sudden sit up in the bed, and then I start speaking a foreign language that was like articulate,
Wow.
but she couldn't understand. She's like, it wasn't just gibberish. Like you were articulately speaking another language that I couldn't understand,
Wow.
with rhythm and flux and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And and then I wasn't responding to her trying to tell me to stop freaking her out because it scared her.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and yeah, she stayed with me after that. So then I didn't go back to sleep that night.
I can imagine you wouldn't. Wow.
And
You're
I could
still
not wait to
here.
fucking leave that house in the morning.
Yeah.
So like that was probably one of the most terrifying experiences.
Wow.
I had like something similar happen actually not that like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. It
Wow.
wasn't that bad, but it was.
So in that
But yeah,
case,
so
what did you do? Because you know a thing or two now.
well, I woke up with Joni fucking baby shaking me
Oh
again.
God.
But now, okay, so so what I'm gonna talk about is now that I've been, practicing Reiki and being a Reiki
Hmm.
practitioner and master for many years, there was a period of time where, for whatever reason, God was sending me clients that had entity attachments and
Okay.
wanted entity removals. And I'd never advertised that as a service, but
Mm-hmm.
it was very much something that I was being initiated in
Mm-hmm.
um, from above. And so I was like, okay, well, let's lean into this because I I understand that, when you're in a dark place, it's easy for dark things to, you're vulnerable,
For sure.
right?
Yep.
And that's not like to say like you're bad or like you're not doing this
No, no, no.
spiritual stuff right or anything. It's just
Yeah.
you become vulnerable and that's okay. It
Yep.
happens.
Human.
And where we are, and we're also naive, and
Yeah.
we don't know what we don't know, right?
Sure. Sure.
And so oftentimes, we go into these like spiritual awakening journeys with so much optimism and so much hope and like trust and naivety
Mm.
that all is light and love. And that is certainly not the
That
case.
is not the case.
Um, is not the case. And so
Is there
just
light and
as
love?
much,
Yes. But
yes,
it's not
there is
all.
so much. That's right. And yeah, and so just as if you study Hermeticism, it's this like as above, so below, right?
Mm-hmm.
As within, so without. And
Mm.
so like this is just like the description of the most purest pure love that has ever exist and like ever known, like just like the most magical, beautiful, all-encompassing love exists in this existence. I can't even say world, like universe beyond the universe, multiverse. This is like what the Gnostics call the monad, right? Like
Yes.
this is the all. And it's so beautiful and so warm and just magic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in order for that to exist, the polar opposite has to exist for it to have contrast, for it to witness itself.
Yes.
Now, now that being said, so if you study Gnosticism, which I'm like deep in the Gnostic rabbit hole right now, like just fucking eating it up, loving it. Um, the monad, the light of all light,
Mm.
the God of all gods, um, this beautiful inception of consciousness decided it wanted to experience itself. And so, in order for this to happen, it created contrast, it created darkness.
Yes.
Okay. And so, the most beautiful light also exists from the most deepest dark. And how I perceive life and consciousness and like the illusion of separatism,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it is an illusion. We aren't separate from one another. Is that once your soul is fragmented from the one, like it's not, it's, when I say that, it's not lost, it's split off
Yes.
into
Yeah.
like a smaller perspective. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this happens to all souls, right? And so the very darkest of dark souls came from light. And so, how I described this to you and how I've described this to my Reiki students
Mm-hmm.
is that you imagine um, say like like your human form, say that is the all, okay? Your physical human form is the all. We're just using this as a metaphor. Um, and now the light emanates from the beat of your heart. Okay. So every beat of your heart pulsates light outwards. Okay. And now, in order for the blood cell, this tiny little cell in within your heart, to go and experience the all, because it's just within the heart, it's just within love, right? And so it's like, well, what else is out there? So it gets pushed out by the monad, by the heart, by the love. It gets pushed out and it goes on a grand adventure, okay? And it goes through the whole entire system. And now eventually it might find itself all the way down at the big toe, at the very tip of the big toe, the furthest point away from its creation and love. And at this point, it's totally like, where am I? How did I get here? I don't know what's become of me. And now this blood cell has an option. It can either choose to trust that this pulsating force is going to bring it back home, but it doesn't know what it is and it doesn't know where home is and what home is, or it can become a cancer and start feeding off of other cells and multiplying that and get stuck at the furthest, darkest point away. Okay. So now you imagine that this cancer that's like in your big toe. I'm just saying this big toe because it's the furthest physical point away. Um, so you have this cancer that's starting to grow and develop, and it's so hungry for the light because it doesn't know what it is and it doesn't know how it got away from it and it doesn't know how to hear it and listen to it anymore. And so it starts feeding off of other sources of light that are near it. But these other sources of light that are near it are also really far away from it. And so they also don't really know how to get home. And so they're like, "Oh, well, you're coming in and you're telling me that you're going to help me and you're going to be my friend and we're going to buddy up." But then it starts just eating off of it and consuming everything around
Mm.
it. And so this is what I relate to when when that fucking demon showed up in that room with me, and when my clients bring in entities that are very dark, and they show up in my treatment room, and they're often very large beings. Like, they do not fit in our
Mm.
standard 9 foot tall ceiling homes. They're very, very large, and they show up. And what I say to these beings, we'll start with the simple, "I can't help you, you need to leave." When that doesn't work, because sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes they're like, "I don't give a shit what you
Mm-hmm.
say. I
True.
am eating your light. I'm hungry and you're light and I want some."
Mm-hmm.
And so then, and this has always worked for me, um, with removing entity attachments from my clients. This has always worked for me. When those things show up in my treatments, I say to them, "Here's my friend Yeshua. Okay? He is going to walk you home to the light in which you've come." And every single time, Yeshua has gone into this being and poof,
Wow.
disappeared,
It's powerful.
gone. And so the other thing I'll say, so like the exact line is like, I am not, so I never say, I'm never talking to them. I say, before I say the line about Yeshua, I say, and this is a critical part, is I say, "I am speaking to the light directly within you. This is my friend Yeshua. He is going to return you home."
Wow. Whew. Shivers,
Yeah.
my friend.
And I think like that is just like one of the most powerful things that we can do, is recognize that even like the scariest things that come up, and like this can be a literal demon and a
Mm-hmm.
literal entity attachment, and this can just be like regular fear in your life,
Mm-hmm.
like like this can apply to so many large and small circumstances.
Yes.
And that is that the fear that you hold is also an emanation of light, and that every single thing has come from the same source of light. And you
Mm-hmm.
know what that feels like if you've ever experienced love. right?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yes.
hope that all of our listeners have experienced love, whether it was from their mother, their grandmother, their father, their uncle, their best friend, like their partner, their own child,
Yes.
whatever form of, or a pet, like sometimes like the first time we
Yeah,
really feel love is like from our little kitty cat or our
of
pup,
course.
that what that love feels like. And so when these dark things show up in your life, whether it's a demon or like a fucking grumpy neighbor,
Mm-hmm.
just remember that they too have come from that same spot of love and they
Mm.
are just lost. And
Yes.
so when we can speak it to them out of like a relatability and not out of fear,
Yes.
they are oftentimes shook. They're like,
Mm.
"What?
Mm-hmm.
You're not afraid of me." And
Mm-hmm.
as soon as that fear is dropped, they lose their grip on feeding off of you. So
Sure.
yeah, that's my experience with dark energies and how to protect yourself. And the other thing with like protection energy is like know that like if you're channeling Reiki, you are in protection energy because
Yes.
Reiki energy is literally God's source energy.
Yes.
It's like it is what all has been created from, it is what all is returning home to.
Yes.
It is like the purest love that you could ever experience. So as long as you are channeling that energy, you are protected.
Yes.
And if you're treating another person and you do a self Reiki shower after,
Mm-hmm.
like nothing has its hooks in you.
Yes. That was really powerful, Mel. Thank you for sharing that. And like thanks for making it through because I don't really know what I'd do if I were to experience something like that. You know, now I have a tool because I've because you shared a really beautiful one, but and if I may share like something that came to mind when you were using that really beautiful metaphor of the blood cell, an
Mm.
energetic, and I can't remember if we talked about this in our last episode. I apologize. But you really made me think of heart coherence. So
Mm.
we had talked about this kind of briefly when we weren't recording, I think, last week or the other week. And I did not learn this from or sorry, I was not taught this from a school. I learned this from a dear friend who is a healer and she does entity removal. And that she said was actually one of the most powerful visualizations or exercises you could do was heart coherence. And it's literally what you described
Oh.
in your metaphor, but doing it with intention from an energetic perspective. So it's literally learning to grow your heart's field, your at the actual field of your heart to expand it to become a protection for you. And so even you
Oh.
describing, I hope our listeners have felt love. And what you do is you literally bring that, and I'm going to teach it in the way that it was taught to me, but you bring that feeling of deep unconditional love into your heart space, whatever that be. We could even do this now if we want to with our listeners.
Yeah,
So why
let's
not?
do it.
Let's do it.
Why not?
So just bringing your awareness now to your heart space and just breathing from that space right now. So maybe closing your eyes, maybe putting your hands over your heart space, and I mean the heart chakra, not your physical heart, and just observing what that feels like to breathe from the heart space. So allowing yourself to take some deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. And as you do this, bringing forward a feeling of unconditional love, whether that be a beautiful memory, love we've received from a pet, like you mentioned, an experience we've had with another loved one, whatever that might be, a place where you feel safe. And allow that feeling of unconditional love to sit in your heart space. And now, as you breathe, let that expand into your field. So bringing those feelings of unconditional love into your field, spreading them wide, 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 making your auric field be completely entrenched in love. Just allowing that to move through all of your body This might bring forward emotion, good or bad. I shouldn't say bad, high or low. And if you've never felt these feelings, you can simply say thank you and repeat that. And that, my friends, is heart coherence. It's that
Mm,
simple. And of course, we could expand this. You could do this for hours if you really wanted, but that does not come from me. This is ancient. This was taught to me by my dear friend. The Egyptians understood this, and they would also practice heart coherence. So
mm,
it's like your face right now is, we can see each other. You can't see us right now, but the peace in your eyes is really beautiful. But again, a simple, simple teaching, but it's what you described. It's also what you described as to how to move that entity along, is to remind them that they are of the light and that they are love. So, yeah.
yeah.
Wow, it was powerful.
Yeah.
Thank you for
That is
everything you
powerful.
shared.
And you know what? It's so simple.
It
Like
is.
it's, and I think like a lot of people on their spiritual journeys, they crave complexity.
Yes,
Like
I
they
agree.
think it needs to be like so much harder than it is. And
Hmm.
it's like, it's truthfully, the longer I've been on this journey and like the more like retreats I've been to, the more crazy Joe Dispenza meditations I've done,
Yeah.
like all of the fucking books that I've read, which literally thousands of hours I have
Mm,
spent on this journey seeking something to like make it make sense. And like at the end of the day, like it's so simple. It's
actually.
literally it's just love. And it's harnessing the love from within, and like that is that love in within, that love that we've just called out from our own
Hmm.
hearts.
Hmm.
That's God's love. That's Creator's love.
Yes.
That's source. Whatever you name, you know, that being above all, within all, like that is the source of it. It's in your own
Yes.
heart. It's literally with you so long as your heart is beating.
Yes.
Like
And
it's not outside.
you hit on something so important in that it can feel boring because we are
Mm.
repeating simplicity. However, it is those who are deeply dedicated and used to and okay with the boring, I say in quotations because I don't find it boring, but to constantly repeat what is the same, what is simple, but knowing that there will be different and even more powerful results as time goes on is where the dedication and the spiritual journey is. And I think that's why, when I see things like, and I'm not saying this to be insulting, but holy fire Reiki, blue flame Reiki, there's a list of Reikis I've seen. I love that. But what I really feel is that Reiki is simple in its essence. It's just a lot of other things that we've added into maybe those Reiki courses that people are giving it a different name, but it is the same simple essence that we are all working with. So,
Yeah. And so to speak on that, I think that's a really
yeah,
good transition point.
sure.
Um,
Yeah.
to speak on that, I think that like you talked about dedication. And so I
Yeah.
think that like the power of Reiki and like how we like truly manipulate energy, because that's really what we're doing is we're
Hmm.
manipulating it and directing it with our own consciousness where we want it to go.
Hmm.
And so I think in order for that to like make sense to people is there needs to be this like level of conviction
Yes.
that it is true. And so I think to reach that point of conviction where it truly where like you believe that Reiki works just as much as you believe that the sky is blue,
Yes.
right? Like that this is what I'm speaking of and when I talk about
Hmm.
conviction and dedication. In order for different people to arrive to that truth,
Hmm.
they need different ways to get there. Different things will confirm that for them. And
Yes.
so I think that is why there has been a variety of different Reikis that have popped up along the way, is because there is something that is resonant in some that isn't in others. And so
Sure.
for like for
Sure.
some people, they need like holy fire. I've never taken holy fire, but I've
Hmm.
researched it. I
Yep.
like when I was building my own courses, I did a lot of research around other Reikis and like I
Okay.
found
Very
amulets.
cool.
Um And like and I've taught a lot of people that have also done holy fire. And from what I know about holy fire Reiki is it's like very, very rigid in
Mm,
its symbols, very rigid in its hand placements.
mm-hmm.
And you have to follow it to like this rigid degree in order
Mm,
for it to work. And
mm-hmm.
so for people that are very, I'm talking to you Virgos, that are very left-brained.
Sorry, because that is the opposite of what I am.
So those people that are like very left brain, very much like if there is a list of instructions, if there is a list that like makes sense to me, then that is where their conviction to the sky
Got
being
it.
blue comes in, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
so they may need that exact form
Mm-hmm.
in order to tap into the essence of
Sure.
love, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
so I think it's really beautiful that there is this variety of choice that people can have where they can find
Yeah.
something that really relates to their needs in convincing them that this
Yeah,
is real.
sure. Sure.
And some people don't need any training whatsoever. Some
Mm-hmm.
people just like intuitively come into this place of love. And like I will say this,
And integrity.
like there are people, there are nurses, there are vet techs, there are people that just like come into a room with this feeling of healing energy
Yes,
and they just bring this sense of calmness because they have they represent that conviction of love in this
absolutely.
world. And so they don't necessarily need all of the steps and
Yeah,
tools that like you've gone through and I've gone through
sure.
and like for me to reach this level of conviction in it, like I was not satisfied with
Mm.
any of my trainings.
Mm-hmm.
Not that they weren't good enough.
Yeah,
They just weren't what I needed to be wholly convinced. And so
sure.
I've read just like an obscene amount of literature to like confirm this for myself and like it's confirmed.
Yeah, girl. Well,
Yeah.
and again, like speaking to like a big part of this too is integrity, right? We have a principle in Reiki, earn your living honestly, right? So
Mm,
you were a person that went, okay, I don't buy this yet, and I know this training isn't quite sufficient for how I want to be a teacher, so I'm going to go figure it
mhm.
out. Not everybody is like you in that sense.
That's
So just
right.
like just a testament to your respect for the five principles, you know, that you are actually living that in your day-to-day life because you're not selling people snake oil, you're not giving them a one-day course. You've really created a beautiful system from what you felt was maybe not adequate training for how you wanted to teach. You know, and I think
Yeah.
that's really important.
And okay, so for the listeners, Steph and I have been trained very differently
Yes.
in
Hmm.
Reiki, and I like personally because like I was told that I was trained in Usui Reiki, but like now like talking to you, it's
Mm,
like there's so many gaps that like I
sure.
wasn't aware of and like things that I was told to do that like aren't to do with Usui Reiki at all.
Interesting.
And
Yeah.
so I I feel like we might be going backwards because I think we talked about this in the last episode too. Like I'm just very curious about Usui Reiki in its like ultimate traditional form and
Hmm.
like how did it come to Canada and like
Yeah.
how did it get here and like what is like the like the purest form of it
Sure.
and why is it resonant for you?
Sure. Thank you for that question. I think a big part of it for me that really helped me, I'm old school. And I'm like you. We like research and we like history and we like to look into the texts for evidence, right? You know, what we are actually learning and why we're learning it. And I think for me, what's really assisted me was understanding the roots and the historical roots of everything. Because when Reiki came back into our stratosphere onto planet Earth, it did come through a Japanese man, and it was discovered by a Japanese man. And for me, what's so confirming is the history and the information that has come out about his teaching, how he taught, and it does lead me to two books that I find are really powerful. And I'll just speak the titles of them now, and then I'll kind of, if you're cool with it, go into a little bit of the things that I
Yeah,
found really interesting.
let's do it.
So the first book that, well, actually, I should start with this one. So the first one that I really enjoyed, it's called The Original Reiki Handbook of Dr. Mikao Usui. So this is, of course, by Dr. Mikao Usui, but also by this man, Frank Aryava Petter. Excuse me. I do believe that is so terrible that like my opera singing brain is like, you just pronounce that like not Germanic in any way. But I do believe this man is a German man. And he is a Reiki master that in the 70s or 80s decided that he really wanted to do the research. He was trained in the traditional method. And he went and he actually found Dr. Usui's original handbook that has all of his notes, all of his writing. So what he's done is he's created a version of that so that we can kind of see what Dr. Usui was doing and how he was placing it in hands and why. And, even talking about things like the 3 pillars of Reiki, which are about, like the meditation that brings you in to call in the source energy, then the actual laying on of the hands, which is like Kiryo or treatment. And if there are any Japanese listeners, please forgive me. I am not a Japanese speaker. It's not out of disrespect. That is one language I don't know all the pronunciation rules for. And then going into the awareness of the breath, and we call it the tanden. So it's actually an area where we kind of center energy, a center point. And these are things that are still not even taught in all of the traditional Usui courses, but like
This is all brand new information to me.
right. And again, to a lot of people, and this is, you have to remember, like Japan, they live in a very traditional ceremonial way, the way that they sit, the way that they eat, the way that they show respect to one another, the fact that they bow to one another to greet each other, to me is like, that is so
I love
beautiful.
that. It is
Such a way of
beautiful.
respecting someone, like I bow to your presence, how lovely.
Hmm.
So what I love about this book is this is like from the mouth of the guy who brought it forward. And what really I like is it is very focused on hands-on specific positions. And he would actually, he's divided it in a way that talks about specific bodily areas and how to treat them and what positions to do. But then he goes into things like disorders of the nerves, right? So how to treat things like hysteria, as they would have called it back in the day. And like so specific, cerebral anemia, like things that are so specific. But again, he was really looking at the physical body and the physical side of things. However, they had the total and complete understanding that they were working with God source energy and that they were working with something sacred, but they were applying it in a very practical way. Then when Dr. Hayashi, who was Dr. Usui's successor, took over, because again, we were talking earlier about like broken telephone, how things down the line and based on the Reiki master, things get slightly shifted or changed based on the perspective or the narrative of the person teaching, right?
Right.
So Dr. Hayashi was actually the guy that organized that made the new format for how we teach level 1 and level 2 in the traditional system. That wasn't that way when Dr. Usui, when Dr. Usui was kind of Grand Master, you lived there. Your life was like, it was very mystery school. You lived in the temple, you worked in the temple, you trained in the temple, you received in the temple. And then as time evolved, it brings me to the second book. Where do I go? Where did it go? Here it is. It's called, I'm so excited because I'm talking about things I love. It's called Alternate Currents. I'm showing the screen like you can see. You can't see, but it's called Alternate Currents. And it's by Justin B. Stein. And I highly recommend, if you want to know more about the traditional history, Justin B. Stein is an American historian. He also teaches actually at UBC, if I'm not wrong, currently. And he is an expert on I might be saying these titles wrong, but specifically the Japanese culture and then Japanese healing techniques. So he has done the very extensive research. He's also very connected to um, the grandmaster, our current grandmaster, Johannes Reindl, and he Justin created this beautiful book that specifically follows the story and the life of Mrs. Hawayo Takata, who we know is the woman who brought Reiki from Japan to the Western world. And this to me is so fascinating because this is actually a brand new book with brand new research that has come out and that has been discovered. Even
Cool.
things like they call it the Gray Book. And this was a book that Mrs. Takata made notes in. So we can actually access from through this book, Alternate Currents, her notes and how she would treat things like stuttering, for instance, like so specific. And like just to know that there was a whole world, right, where Reiki existed and was kept protected and safe and secret. Um,
It was
in this,
very sacred.
it was very, and like the fact that this woman protected Reiki in she could because she remember she brought it from Japan to the States, but she was in Hawaii when Pearl Harbor was happening. So the
That's
fact that
right.
a Japanese American woman kept herself safe and protected Reiki throughout a war where people that were Japanese were not being treated very well in the States, to me is
Right.
miraculous. And she was a
Yeah.
fiery lady. Like she had conviction and she did not take no for an answer. So, yeah, sorry, I feel like you have
So
something.
why do you think that there was this like secrecy and sacredness to it?
That's a great question. I think, first of all, it is a very extensive system that what I find fascinating about Mrs. Takata, she was able to translate for a Western society. I think I think part of it is secret, but part of it is that it was just so extensive that it wasn't fully transferred in the way that it was taught. Because again, a lot of the Japanese culture was entrenched in how Reiki was taught and how it was respected and seen. So even things like they would speak while people were in attunements, they would sing or speak these emperor poems, like poems to the
Mm,
emperor in Japan. So it's like again the way that they conducted Reiki was very connected to, and I wouldn't say it was connected to Buddhism or anything specifically because it wasn't, but
hmm.
it was inherently Japanese for a long time. So I think it was a little bit of, and also, sorry, I should say the secrecy. Part of it came from too, like why Dr. Usui created the five principles. He started to give Reiki to the poor, to people who couldn't afford it just because he wanted to help and he wanted to heal, but they kept coming back to him. Right. So he
Right.
was realizing these people weren't seeking healing. They were just receiving, but they weren't actually doing the work to stay healed. So he
Right.
stopped giving it away for free and realized that healing needed to be sought out. And we know that. Like you and I know that we
Yeah.
can never interfere as healers. It is our job to hold space, but a person will never heal unless they want to heal. So I think it's a
Well, and
little bit
there's
of all
like
of the above.
that like just goes back to like the conviction, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Is like, and I made content about this like last week,
Amazing.
about how it's like the healing, it has like you can put your belief in like your Reiki master, your Reiki practitioner, you can put your
Hmm.
belief in that vessel, and that conduit for the energy is the one and is the reason that you are experiencing healing. You put if your conviction is there and it
Hmm.
works, great. But your conviction can also just be from within,
For
right?
sure. Yes.
And so like it comes back to that like fucking quantum physics aspect of
Hmm.
it, is that it's like we have our human, monkey, reptilian, whatever you want to call them, brains. Um, we like have this need to like logically and analytically like make sense of the
Yeah.
world, of the
Yeah.
energy, because we have to be able to see it for it to be real. But I mean, now with AI, we're learning that just sight doesn't make things real. Just
Sure.
because you see it doesn't mean it's real.
That's true.
So maybe that is a positive about AI, is that it is bringing us back into this like awareness that well, what is real, right? And like the only thing that we can like truly identify as real is like feeling. Like
Yes.
that, like
Yes.
whether we feel it or not,
Yep.
that's what's real. And so
That's
it,
what
it
convinced
comes
me.
exactly, it
I
comes
felt it
back
for
to that.
myself.
Yeah. And so it's like whether you are convicted in the belief that you are healed because Yeshua laid his hands on you, or you're
Mm.
convicted in the belief that you are healed because your doctor laid his hands on you, or you're convicted in the belief that you are healed because your Reiki practitioner laid their hands on you, what all comes back to it is that you are healed because your belief has healed you. And that is what Yeshua said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Like,
good.
that was like like sometimes I just swear that I am the conduit for these messages. Like I like the
Absolutely.
things that come out of me sometimes I'm like, did I just say that?
That wasn't me. That was them.
Because like it really is, and like end of the day, like
Mm.
you your faith heals you, and it's like it comes all the way back. It's like it's so fucking simple.
It
Like we have
really, really is.
all of these rules, we have all of these techniques, we have all of these like insightful thoughts of like where this comes from and how it got here, and you can seek and search and apply all of this as hard and as long and as many different ways as you need to, but like what it all comes back to is like it's your belief.
Yes.
Like that's it. Do you
And
believe
like
it?
I believe it, man. I believe.
I believe.
And
Hallelujah.
truthfully, like going back to that conversation of like the darkness showing us what the light is, like I have had my walks in the desert. I have left my traditional simple beliefs to try something else and realized that coming back to my simple traditional beliefs was actually the most powerful way to
Yes.
be. You know, like I stopped working with my Reiki master for a bit because I thought there was another healer who knew better. And in reality, that healer was just showing me that my original teachings were the most powerful, right? So it's funny because we get the answer and sometimes we think there's more. And sometimes there is, or there's a
Well, yeah, because we
nuance.
get bored.
Well, we get bored. That's it. It's like in this society of more content, more, always, you know, who wants to come back and sit in silence and close their eyes and breathe? You know, but we
What do
need
you
to.
mean?
Like,
What do
it
you
was
mean there
funny.
isn't
I was
more?
saying to my partner the other day, I was like, this is great. Like, when I get sick and I'm forced to be on my butt and be alone, I get ideas. Why? Because I'm
Mm.
not outputting, I'm not doing. I'm a manifester in human design. So it is literally my job to go into silence for periods of time, let the ideas come, and then go, I have one. And then I go and put it into the world for a while, and then I rest again. Like, that's legit
Oh,
it.
literally just spoke about this on my ERA call with my participants in my chakra
Amazing.
healing course.
Amazing.
We're on the sacral chakra right now, and we
Yes.
just spoke about this on Wednesday. It's Friday now. 2 days
Hmm.
ago, we just spoke about this, about how in order for you to create, in order for
Yes.
the inspiration and the ideas to come to you, you have to literally schedule time to do nothing.
Yes. And
Nothing.
I know why I got that cold. It wasn't because I was around sick people. It was because my I think God was like, "You're going to have an upgrade. You've given a great output now, and I know you want to get back to it, but I'm going to force you to sit on your butt for 3 more days so I can
Yeah.
download you." And that's what
Well,
happened.
and you were just like, working your tail off and
Yeah,
your voice off. So it
sure.
was like, yeah, sinuses, let's
God.
shut down and let's
Yeah,
rest and come back to center after all of that output. It's like,
absolutely.
yeah.
And the gift that I was given, it was so funny. Like I had this whole download of like I want to apply for a grant to create this musical project. I'm not saying anything about it yet because it's definitely in the works in my brain. But now I have this plan of something that I've wanted to do for a very long time, and it was like I was shown the way, you know? So
Mhm.
more on that later, everyone. But it has to do with frequency and opera, just so you know. Um, Pretty
Yay.
excited. But yeah, so grateful for that time. Can I ask, do
Yeah,
you have any books that are kind of like your go-to for books that have like shaped you
totally.
as a Reiki master or teacher or Yeah.
Do I have
Yeah,
books, Stephanie?
that's a loaded question. What are your top, let's say, two or three? We'll narrow it down here.
Do you have you read any? Okay, so I created New Earth Reiki, and like
Yeah.
I co-created this with Yeshua.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So a big part of my Reiki journey was like floundering and figuring it out and seeking so many different and outsourcing so many different sources
Mm.
to answer my questions. And my whole stick is that I don't know if it's a stick, but it's
Your
like
whole life's work?
Yeshua
How
has
about that?
been, what's that?
I said your whole life's work. How about that?
Yeah, my whole life's work has been heavily influenced by the presence of Yeshua.
Mm.
Like ever since I was a teenager experiencing those crazy fucking demonic things, it was I first started going to the church to seek salvation, and I
Mm,
found
sure.
Yeshua, Jesus at the time that I knew him as. And I just was like so just held in this divine fucking love that was
Mm.
just so indescribable and so undeniable that that was happening. And as much as I pushed the church away, and like I assumed that if I pushed the church away, I'd push Jesus away, right? Because I didn't believe in the
Sure.
dogma of the church.
Yes.
But the feeling, right? We go back to that, the
Yeah.
feeling that Yeshua gave me, that
Yeah.
held me in, was very real. And so I pushed the church
Hmm.
away, assuming that he would go away with it. And he never did. Like he,
Hmm.
through all of it, would just continuously show up for me and be there and support me. So Yeshua's been like a huge he is the co-creator of New Earth Reiki. The only reason that it exists is because of him. And
Mm.
so a huge part of that research has been through the Essene Gospel of Peace. Um,
Mm.
and so this book was written by, I always butcher his name. Like maybe I should ask ChatGPT how to pronounce it properly. But his name is Edmund Burroughs Salkelly, Sakeli. And so like this guy, he went into the fucking Vatican and he got all of these books and translated these from the Dead Sea Scrolls, okay?
Ooh, wow.
And so this is like a lot of how the Essenes lived
Mm.
and like the way in which they lived by, and it was very um meditative. It was very much like in harmony and balance
Mm.
with the physical aspects of life as well as the ethereal aspects of life. So it's
Mm.
very balanced in bringing um like the masculine etheric realms to the feminine physical realms.
Wow.
Okay. And so a lot of my practice is about that. And I get that from the Essenes, which is the community that Yeshua grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
There's all of those missing years in the scripture, in the biblical
Mm.
scripture of where was he? We hear
Mm-hmm.
about it when he was born, but then we don't hear about him again until he's in his 20s.
Hmm.
Where was he? I was like, I want to know. So I found out.
Can
He
I
was,
ask? Sorry,
yeah,
just a quick
go ahead.
question about the Dead Sea Scrolls, because I heard this and I could be incorrect. Were they released to the public and then retracted? I heard
So
information that they were like hidden or sections were hidden.
very much so.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so they were discovered in 1945.
Mm-hmm.
Um so along with the same like time frame of the Nag Hammadi. No, sorry, the Nag Hammadi was found first.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Dead Sea Scrolls. And they both of these like ancient scriptures were intentionally hidden
Okay.
from the fucking Roman Empire when they
Which
burnt
makes
down
total
the
sense.
Library of Alexandria.
Yep.
There were people like
Yes.
us who were dedicated, and their soul's mission was to save this
Yes.
information for us. They
Mm-hmm.
literally put them in jars and
Mm-hmm.
buried them.
Okay. Yep.
These the Dead Sea Scrolls were found in jars in a cave in Qumran, by a shepherd boy whose sheep had gone fucking on an
Hmm.
adventure, and he was trying to find his sheep, and he found him in this fucking cave with all these glass jars,
Hmm.
um, that had these scrolls in them. And so that was like the Dead Sea Scrolls. And then so we learned about the Essenes through that, because the
Yes.
Essenes were fucking scrubbed um when they killed all the Gnostics. But anyway, so the
Yes.
Essene Gospel of Peace is like is my Bible. Like
Got it.
that is my way of life.
Mm-hmm.
Um
Mm-hmm.
but before I, really got into that, and when I was like first on my like like learning Reiki thing, um, like outside of Yeshua, because Yeshua was persistent in that he was there, but I
Mm-hmm.
like always was like, you can be here. I like that you're here, but like I can't tell people that you're here because then they'll think that I'm Christian.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
And then
I
they'll
felt the
assign
same.
meaning to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So like he was always around, and it wasn't until I like fully embraced and claimed him that my Reiki practice really blew up.
Amazing.
So one of my first books is called The Art of Psychic Reiki, and it's by
Mm.
Lisa Campion. And yeah, it's like so like a lot of people, I think we talked about this in the last class too. A lot of
Mhm.
people, or last class, last you can tell I'm a teacher.
I knew what
In
you
our
meant.
last episode. A lot of people, when they start channeling Reiki, their psychic, what are they called?
Gifts.
Gifts. Thank you. Um, come online, and it
Hmm.
can be a little bit disjarring for people who aren't used to that.
Sure.
So, like for me, because I always had these like intuitive and psychic qualities, they blew wide open
Yeah.
when I got my first attunement. And so I was like really trying to lean into like what that was. And so this book really helped me figure out like the difference between Reiki and psychic awareness,
Sure.
and being able
Yes.
to tune into my clairs
Hmm.
while I was doing treatments on other people.
Amazing.
So, yeah, if you're someone who's like, I'm an empath, I have different clairs, they're not always turned up. I don't really know how to control them. I don't know how to make them louder or softer. This book is really helpful for that. Um, and yeah, it's really nice to be affirmed in something that's happening to you and not
Yeah.
be afraid of that. So I
Yeah.
really liked this one, and like I mean, you viewers can't tell, but there's lots of post-it notes with notes. All of Most of my books are like
A
that. And
well-loved
then my
book.
other one, because in New Earth Reiki, we work with the chakras, with the energy
Hmm.
centers.
Hmm.
Um, and so I really wanted to get very well versed in the chakras. This is a beginner's book too. And it is one that I is always on my desk. It's never put on the
Awesome.
bookshelf. It's called The Ultimate Guide to Chakras, the beginner's guide to balancing, healing, and unblocking your chakras for health and positive energy. And so this was like a way for me to understand um when the energy centers are speaking to us, how to
Yes.
identify um what they need to heal, because like in an energetic treatment, like in a Reiki treatment, you're going to be put back into alignment, but as soon as you leave the door from your practitioner's space, you're now at influence of the world around you, right? And so
Hmm.
just as quickly as you've been aligned, you can become unaligned.
For sure.
So it's like I wanted to be able to give my clients like practical advice to stay in alignment so they don't have to
Sure.
come see me all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, it's just like really learning about listening to the body and how it's speaking and what it needs, like as
Beautiful.
far as like the like spiritual aspects of it, like what kind of like do I need to be doing body movement? Do I need to be doing more meditation? Do I need to be eating differently?
Yeah.
Like it's a whole variety of different ways to
Yeah,
address what the body is speaking. And like so for me, I I I like diagnose my clients based on their symptoms often because they'll be like, "Oh, well,
sure.
I've been having really low back pain for the
Mm,
last few months, right?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, when did you notice that this started?" And they're like, "Oh, well, it was around this time." And I was like, "Well, what was going on emotionally for you around
exactly.
that time?"
Yep.
Right? And it's
Yep.
like it's lower back pain. Is this your sacral chakra? Are you feeling like you have no time or space to relax? Are you
Mm-hmm.
feeling like your ideas are constantly shut down?
Yep.
Like, are you being rejected in the bedroom? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's could be so many aspects going on that are related to the sacral that have gone unnoticed, and now
Yes.
your your physical body is trying to fucking get your attention, right? Because
Yeah.
that's how it works. Is like energy, emotion, physical. Like that's the
Bingo.
chain of command.
Bingo.
But yeah, anyway, so I recommend those books for those of you that are like really just kind of getting into learning about the frequencies. Um those two ones, and then the Essene Gospel of Peace for someone who's like, let's get back to the
Yeah.
simplicity.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And like just to speak on the chakras, it's funny, I think I mentioned even in our last episode, like they talk about in the traditional teachings that, and I say this in quotes because it's not actually true, but that the chakras have nothing to do with Reiki. And it's because
Mm-hmm.
they're coming from a physical aspect and point of view, looking at, ailments, body parts, etc. But what's really cool is that even in my training, I clearly had someone that studied in shamanism who is a Reiki
Mm,
master who taught my Reiki master, and we do teach about the chakra system and treat them. And so again, with the broken
so that
telephone, I say
is,
in quotes,
yeah,
which is not actually broken. It's just where the teacher's training and expertise and awareness is going to start to implement itself within the traditional teachings, right? So
right.
I'm grateful for the understanding of the chakra system as well as the physical body, right? Because
Yeah.
then I can cover it
Because they
all.
go
And
together.
they do go together, of course they do.
Yeah,
But yeah, and now we can access them and treat them both if we're aware, right? So
totally.
yeah, super powerful.
Beautiful.
This
I
has been
love this.
awesome. Thank you for this discussion today.
Yeah, I think that's a good note to like wrap it up. And
Yeah, absolute.
I'm also to like give a little teaser for our listeners. Our next few episodes, we're going to start talking about the creation stories of humanity.
So excited.
So we're going way back, like we've
Oh,
we've gone a little bit back here today.
millions of
But
years.
we are going way back on the creation of humanity. So, if that is something of interest to you, if you want to learn more about the ancients and how it all relates to modern times, we're looking forward to hearing or giving this information out next week. So,
Yeah.
thank you all so much for being here, and we will see you next week.
See you guys.